Hi, everybody. Liz Levine with Signature College Counseling. So this week's Tuesday Talks with Liz, we're going to talk about, are colleges requiring the SAT for fall 2023 applicants? And in reality, this is something that really can be applied even later than fall 2023. But given that with fall 2023 and the students are seniors from September 2022 through May, June 2023, and we're at the end of the pandemic or on the other side of the pandemic, it's kind of shifting some. So let's talk about this. Here we had, when the pandemic hit, colleges became test optional because kids couldn't take the tests. And then the following year, although kids could take the tests, most schools continued going test optional. There were some schools that stopped that, like in Georgia, the Georgia state schools. Last application year, said that they were going to require the tests, but most schools still remain test optional. And by the way, when we talk about the SAT, we're really talking about the SAT and the ACT because they're interchangeable. When you submit test scores, you can submit either or you can even submit both if that's what you choose to do, depending on what your results are. So for fall 2023, most schools are still test optional with some exceptions. But what I'm finding is, and of course we won't really know this until spring of 2023 and into even early summer, which schools are going to continue being test optional for the fall of 2024 entrance into college and beyond. So some schools have said, like UMass Amherst, starting with the pandemic, said they're going to remain test optional for the next 3 application cycles. They want to see if there's any difference in the results of the students who submitted test optional versus those that submitted their test scores and make a decision based on that. There's some schools though, like MIT, that have said, we're stopping test optional, test scores are required, and they're going to remain required. So it's really important, and it's been a gift in many ways, where students have the option. Some students who aren't as good of test takers as some other students, but still very viable students for the colleges they want to apply to, they have been able to still apply to these colleges and many times get accepted without having to submit test scores if they have the option. But it may very well be that as time goes on, those test scores may become required. What I will also say is, and this is kind of a game colleges play, and it's part of the US News rankings, is that US News still requires as part of their rankings that I believe it's 40% of your students that apply have to be submitting test scores in order for you to maintain the rankings and get ranked accordingly. If you don't have that percentage of students that submits their applications or submits their test scores, then your rankings could potentially go down. So it's also a rankings game. But on the flip side of that, because of the test optional status, many schools have had so many more applicants apply. They've had a much greater array of students who apply, and therefore they are able to select students from all different backgrounds and a variety of students to accept to come to their institution. And especially in the underrepresented group or underprivileged group of students, it's really been definitely a blessing for them and for many students. So the short answer is that for the students entering into the fall 2023 year, most schools are still test optional, but it still has yet to be seen what's going to happen for students entering in fall 2024. And already SUNY Binghamton has said, this is our last year for being test optional. We're going to require tests from here on out. So that's an interesting thing, and we'll see how many other schools follow suit. Liz Levine with Signature College Counseling, making your college admissions journey easier to navigate.